Hello, everyone, and welcome to my channel. Today, I have a special treat for you. I'm going to tell you about 3 true neighbor horror stories. Are you ready to get scared? Let's begin. The first story is about the Midnight Gardener. In the quiet suburb of Willow Creek, residents whispered about the peculiar habits of Mr. Hensley, the reclusive neighbor who lived at the end of the lane. His house, a dilapidated Victorian manor, was surrounded by an overgrown garden that seemed to consume anything that dared to grow there. The story begins with a new family moving into the neighborhood. The Johnsons, unaware of the local lore, quickly noticed the oddity of Mr. Hensley's nocturnal gardening. Every night, precisely at midnight, the sound of a shovel striking the earth echoed through the still air. The family's curiosity turned to unease when they realized that the garden's size never changed, no matter how much Mr. Hensley toiled under the moonlight. One fateful evening, young Timmy Johnson, driven by a mix of fear and fascination, decided to spy on the Midnight Gardener. Hiding behind a bush, he watched as Mr. Hensley meticulously tended to his plants, whispering to them in a language Timmy couldn't understand. Suddenly, the ground beneath one of the bushes began to move, as if something was trying to push its way out. Timmy gasped, and in that instant Mr. Hensley turned towards him with eyes that glowed like embers. "Care to help with the weeding, young man?" he asked, his voice as cold as the grave. The next morning, the Johnsons found Timmy's bed empty. The only trace of him was a freshly turned patch of soil in Mr. Hensley's garden, where a new plant had begun to sprout, its leaves the same shade as Timmy's eyes. From then on, the whispers about Mr. Hensley grew louder, and the neighborhood children steered clear of the house with the garden that seemed to live and breathe. And every night, at the stroke of midnight, the sound of a shovel could be heard, as the Midnight Gardener continued his eternal work. This tale serves as a chilling reminder that some mysteries are best left alone, and that the secrets of the earth are not for the living to know. The second story is about the Watcher in the Walls. In the quaint town of Cambrio, nestled between the lush forests of Maine and the rugged coastline, the locals whispered of the old Hadley estate, abandoned for decades and shrouded in mystery. They called it the Watcher in the Walls, for it was said that the eyes of the house's last occupant, a reclusive artist known only as Mr. Hadley, still peered through the cracks and crevices of the dilapidated manor. When the Peterson family moved into the neighboring house, they were greeted with warm smiles and cold warnings. "Keep an eye on the walls," the townsfolk said, "for they have eyes of their own." The Petersons, skeptics of the supernatural, dismissed the tales as mere superstition. But as the nights grew longer, and the winds whispered through the trees, strange occurrences began to unsettle the Petersons. Their youngest daughter, Lily, claimed she heard hushed conversations emanating from the walls. Her brother, Alex, found peculiar, ancient-looking sketches tucked away in the attic, all signed by Mr. Hadley. Each depicted the same eerie figure, a shadowy silhouette with piercing eyes, standing guard by a window. One stormy night, when the power flickered and died, the Petersons huddled together, lighting candles to ward off the encroaching darkness. That's when they heard it, a soft, scratching sound, like the scuttle of dry leaves across the floor. It seemed to come from everywhere and nowhere, growing louder with each passing second. In a moment of terror-fueled bravery, Alex pressed his ear against the wall. His blood ran cold as he heard a voice, raspy and low, whispering his name. "Watcher," it hissed, "I see you." The family fled the house, seeking refuge with their neighbors. As they looked back at their home from the safety of the street, they saw it, a face in the window of the Hadley estate, watching them with an intensity that turned their bones to ice. From that night on, the Petersons understood why the house was called the Watcher in the Walls. They knew that some walls don't just hold up a house. They hold secrets, and sometimes, those secrets watch back. The third story is about the reflection that wasn't. In the heart of an ancient manor, there was a mirror as old as the house itself. It was said that the mirror held a reflection not of this world but of a parallel realm where spirits lingered, caught between life and death. The story begins with a young woman named Ilara, who inherited the manor from her late aunt. She was a rational soul, never one to believe in ghost tales or superstitions. But from the moment she stepped into the house, she felt a chill that seemed to seep into her bones. One night, as a storm raged outside, Ilara was drawn to the mirror by a whisper that called her name. She approached it cautiously, her reflection clear in the glass. But as she stared, her image began to warp, and another figure appeared beside her, a figure with no face, just a blur where features should be. Panicked, Ilara turned away, but the room was empty. When she looked back at the mirror, her own reflection was gone, replaced by the faceless entity that now reached out towards her. She stumbled backward, her heart racing as the figure in the mirror stepped out into the room. The air grew cold, and the lights flickered as the entity moved closer. Ilara could feel its icy breath on her neck, hear the soft, sorrowful moans that escaped its lips. It was a soul trapped, yearning for release, and it had chosen Ilara to set it free. In the days that followed, Ilara's reflection was never her own. It was always the entity, mimicking her movements with a delay, its blurry face a constant reminder of the night it crossed over. Ilara knew she had to help the spirit find peace, or she would never reclaim her reflection, or her life. As she delved into the history of the manor, she uncovered a tale of tragedy, a young man who had died on the premises, his body never found. Ilara realized that this was the spirit in the mirror, and she set out to find his remains. After a long search, she discovered a hidden room behind the mirror, where the skeletal remains lay. She gave the young man a proper burial, and that night she watched as her reflection returned to normal in the mirror. But as she sighed in relief, she noticed a small crack in the glass, and through it, she saw countless eyes watching her. The mirror had been a gateway, and now that it was open, there was no telling what might come through next. Ilara's story had just begun, for the manor was alive with whispers, and every mirror was a door to the unknown. The reflection that wasn't was only the first of many tales that the ancient house held within its walls. These are just one of the many horror stories. There are many more out there, waiting to be discovered and told. Do you have any horror stories of your own? Share them in the comments below, and don't forget to like and subscribe for more spooky content. Until next time, stay safe and stay curious. Bye.